In our first story tonight, former Chief Executive of GIRDCo, William Emuna, is proposing implementation of the net metering system for the Electricity Company of Ghana to effectively manage power supply from renewable energy sources. He said the time has come for Ghana to also adopt renewable sources through the introduction of innovative systems to ensure that reliable electricity supply. William Emuna spoke to Joy Business at the launch of an off-grid power solution equipment. Ebenezer Sabute has more.
The decision by government to introduce off-grid solar generation into the national grid is receiving support from the private sector and investors. The introduction of Exiron, an off-grid power solution equipment, is another step towards pushing the agenda for renewables. In an interview with Joy Business, former Chief Executive of GIRDCo, William Emuna, believes the time has come for all to embrace the idea of renewable energy into the national grid.
Everybody is doing that now. Many people are putting that on their buildings because it appears to be more reliable than the grid sometimes. You know, once your battery system is working, you always have your lights on. So I think there's quite a big market in Ghana.
Can the ECG sustain the kind of investment that is coming in?
Well, there's something they call a net metering. Okay, you could have it in your house, but in a way it's connected to the grid. So the excess power during the day is sent into the grid, and then at night you can take it back. I have recommended that when ECG stores about, say, 10 kilowatt hours from somebody's system, they could give back, say, about 5 kilowatt hours because they are using the ECG system as a storage. And if they don't do that, they may run into problems financially. So I think the net metering thing will solve that issue.
On his part, Associate Professor at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Mechanical Engineering Department, S.O. Ben Hagan, said the government should ensure that the enabling environment for investment in the sector is created for all.
I don't see why not. I would rather say that it is something that we should push as a nation. So if it is not there, we should do everything to make it be there. Because I mentioned that renewable energy has several non-financial advantages. It includes the fact that it's an indigenous resource. If even something happens and all our borders are closed, all our renewable energy resources remain within our borders. The sun won't go away. Our biomass and municipal waste will remain in the country. Our wind resource remains within our borders. It's an indigenous resource, and its application adds a lot of energy security, for our energy supply, system. So renewable energy is a must.
Exiron is said to be the next solution for provision of renewable energy.
Well, companies that are yet to file their outstanding annual returns and or renew their businesses at the Registry General's Department have till the end of April 2018 to do so or face stiffer sanctions. That's the latest warning coming from the Registry General, Jemima Owari. There's more in this report.
The warning follows enforcement of the penalty payment of 300 cedis for each year of default since February. According to the Registrar General, Jemima Owari, the notice has become necessary because a lot more companies have yet to file their annual returns as well as update their records into the current electronic database, e-Registrar. She says companies' failure to adhere to the new directive would only attract additional fines.
Basically, it's about the same thing, except that the penalty is now 350. That's all it means. So you pay maybe 50 Ghana cedis for all the years you've not filed returns. Say if it's 10 years, that's 500. Then you pay a penalty of 350 instead of 300. So it's just been graduated by 50 Ghana cedis.
Okay. What of companies that, let's take they go bankrupt, and you could see that the company is non-existent? Should they also have to update their database?
It's even more imperative that they do that. If they've gone bankrupt, they don't want to do business anymore, the Companies Act gives you the procedure to take your name off the register. In cases where you've gone bankrupt, you can't pay your debts as they fall due. That's what we call official liquidation.
What more do defaulting companies stand to lose if they fail to honor these obligations by the end of April 2018?
it was supposed to be 300 Ghana cedis every day that the default continues. And we just thought it was so puny. So we did it a flat rate of 300 Ghana cedis.
Is it not too outrageous? 300 cedis a day?
The penalty unit said 25 penalty units for each day that the default continues. A penalty unit is 12 Ghana cedis, 50 pesos. If you calculate that, that's 300 Ghana cedis. So, I mean, I just felt that it's just too punitive. Each day that you do not file your return is 300 Ghana cedis. So we did a flat rate of 300 for the year 2006 to the year 2017. Because you file returns the preceding year. So people should file returns in 2017 for 2016. That's why I'm saying I've pushed the deadline to April 2018 for you to file returns up to 2017. And now the penalty has gone up from 300 to 350. So what it means is that if you hit my directive, you will still pay the penalty of 300 if you've never filed before. But if you've been filing, you just pay 50 Ghana cedis. You won't pay any penalty of 350.
Sole proprietors are also to note that failure to renew their business names would render the business name inactive in the electronic database from 2nd January 2018, making it impossible for any changes or updates to their records.
Now, Chief Executive of international law firm AB & David Ofosu-Dorte, says for local businesses to gain the requisite experience to extend their services abroad, they must first be able to manage multiple branches at home. Local businesses have always been criticized for not being able to operate elsewhere on the globe. In an interview with Joy Business, David Ofosu-Dorte, however, added that some other setbacks, including lack of adequate knowledge, make the decision to venture abroad extra difficult for local businesses. David Ofosu-Dorte recently addressed a conference organized by JoyNews Fellowship, an initiative that focuses on providing support and training on developing homegrown businesses into multinationals.
Not able to flourish beyond the shores of their jurisdiction. This is largely because local businesses lack the basic knowledge to operate successfully elsewhere. This is the gap JoyNews Fellowship seeks to close by equipping such businesses with the know-how to transform into multinationals eventually. CEO of EcoBank International, Arnold Epe, outlines further what JoyNews Fellowship aspires to achieve.
This is the first of a series of programs that the JoyNews Fellowship is running to highlight the need to support and develop African multinationals. The key message is that now that is being addressed. Before it wasn't being addressed, and it's being addressed in a structured manner to provide support, advice, and training to companies that want to go Pan-African or even regional, but generally companies that want to build up their businesses beyond their national borders.
Vice President of Business Development and Finance Group at Group Indum, Nana Kweku Indum, also shared some insights on what companies should look out for when expanding their businesses to new markets.
When you're expanding into a new territory, just depending on how you do it, the challenges can vary. When you're acquiring a new business that's already there, you really have to look at how do you make sure that their culture and your culture fits. And that's something that we discussed today. Like, what do you need to do to make sure that when you go into this new area and this new company, that the people really buy into your strategy and your culture and your philosophy? Because when that doesn't happen, things can go bad really quickly.
On his part, Chief Executive at AB & David Ofosu-Dorte, mentioned some challenges that confront local businesses as they decide to extend their tentacles abroad.
If you want to expand, you must first expand to areas proximate to where you are. So if you cannot expand within your territory, why bother expanding to somebody's territory? Because you will definitely make mistakes, and you must learn from the mistakes. I think it's not so much the size of the country or the size of the economy, but how people see the need for cross-border business. Of course, I must admit that there are specific challenges about expanding across Africa, like language, like lack of information about the other countries. What I worry about is not legal barriers. What I worry about is what is called the policy shift. And let me illustrate. There are certain countries who may open up and tell you, come and invest in. Let's take our West Africa area. Let's take ECOWAS. Nigeria is the biggest market, undoubtedly. I mean, but yet there are companies which were exporting to Nigeria who cannot export to Nigeria anymore because with a change of regime, or rather, as you change with a change of policy, Nigeria said certain specific commodities we are going to restrict the import. Where anybody's business has more than 20% of its income coming from a single source, you are in danger. And if you understand management and so-called good governance, or which people make a cliche without really taking it to its real meaning, good governance will mean governing my organization in such a way that I'm not a victim of one particular client. The key thing is to understand how to shape this local knowledge into a business idea or into information that businesses can rely on and say, this market is open for my business and this product can go to this market, and based on that I can make this sale. I mean, that's how you have to approach it. So the lack of information for me is more important than all the other matters.
You're watching Business Live. We are moving on, and Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia last Monday at the official opening of the 2017 Innovation Week stated that the government in 2018 would ensure that every Ghanaian has a bank account. The rationale, he said, is part of measures to ensure a digital economy in the country. But banking consultant and chief executive of Universal Capital Management Limited, Dr. Richmond Akwesi Tuahene, argues that bridging the 70% deficit of Ghana's unbanked population is unrealistic. Speaking to Joy Business, Dr. Tuahene said there was a need for government to establish needed structures to improve upon financial inclusion.
When we're talking about banking or financial services, there always need to be structures. I mean, like a building. Currently, we have 34 universal banks with close to about 1,500 branches. We have rural banks, 141, MBFI, 68, and then we have the microfinance, 541. And we are talking about a population of 27 million. And if 30% have these facilities enjoyed, I'm wondering what can happen from today up to even 2018. I believe that we need to have a concerted effort to look at financial inclusion. Financial inclusion. That's why I want to commend the telecos. They've done very well. But what they have done is only for transfers of funds. It does not give a person access to credit, or it does not give him access to even other services like banks. So if you want to improve that, then we need to encourage the banks to spread out to the rural setting. And don't forget, we had 60% of the population in the rural setting. And you're talking about high illiteracy. You cannot have digital, even if it's 1+1. Somebody is supposed to teach you. So we need to look at the financial inclusion by looking at structures, by also making sure that the facilities and the systems are well in place. Interoperability is about check clearing and payment systems and all that. But if the structure is not there, there can be no transfer or payment. Telecos don't use the interoperability. They use their system to pay, isn't it? That's what they use. So unless you create a system whereby we have structures together, people there, and then people also access it. Financial inclusion is about accessibility. Are people to access the facilities you have? So that is the reason why I'm telling you that it's quite a challenging task.
The National Insurance Commission says it is yet to approve the proposed insurance scheme for national service personnel. It follows agitations by individual members of the National Service Personnel Association against the compulsory insurance policy by the Secretariat. What are the implications for the insurance industry? Here's Bismarck Owuse's report.
The compulsory insurance policy will see an amount of 15 Ghana cedis deducted as premium from each person's allowance every month. The national executive body of the National Service Personnel Association is backing the move, but to the dismay of many individual members. The Concerned Service Personnel Association is agitating against the initiative, citing, among other reasons, unfair imposition of the policy on them. Insurance Commissioner Justice Yaofori explains to Joy Business the Commission is mandated to protect the interests of policymakers and not necessarily interfere with the sale of insurance products.
I have checked, I haven't seen that product come to the Commission for approval. I believe that the insurance companies were actually have come into some negotiations with maybe the National Service Secretariat to come out with a product. And maybe when the product is agreed to and it's feasible, they would have come to us for approval. For me, the package appears to be very attractive. Gives a lot of benefits looking at the amount of premium that they are collecting. The sum insured is quite high. It's probably maybe the timing is not good, or maybe some more consultation probably needed to be done for people to buy into it. But we as commissioners, we don't get involved in the business transactions of insurance companies. I mean, the insurance companies have the right to contact anybody and then come out with packages, design packages for them, and that is always happening. So we don't actually get involved in what happens between insurance companies and potential insureds. But we just make sure that the insurance companies have a free and fair playing level grounds. And we also make sure that the insured or the consumer is well protected.
He adds authorities may need to do more work if the policy is to be implemented successfully.
As I said, I don't have the product, but I read it on the, I got some feedback. And for me, what the policy is supposed to give, I mean, there are so many benefits, but we need to know the T's and the I's in it. Yeah.
But you know, the service person, his concern or her concern is the fact that, look, this is an insurance policy. It is up to me to decide whether or not I need a cover. Yes, so that is their challenge, and they don't feel that the Secretariat has every right to impose this particular package on them. So what do you say about this?
Yeah, as I said, the product hasn't come to us for approval, but maybe, as I mentioned earlier, maybe some consultation needed to have been done with the service personnel for them to buy into it. If such consultation were not done, then it creates a lot of confusion. You get me? So maybe if it's good for them, they think it's not good for them. But maybe if they are sat down with them and giving them the benefits that they would have had, they would have bought into it.
Let's update you on one of our top stories tonight. Telecoms giant MTN says it would be advancing most of the funds raised from the record loan syndication to support its expansion and service quality from next year. The telecoms giant disclosed this to Joy Business at a program to formally sign a 510 million CD loan syndication with 9 banks. The facility would have an interest of almost 17% and would be paid over 5 years.
The 510 million Ghana cedi loan syndication was led by EcoBank together with other 8 commercial banks, that is Standard Chartered, GCB, GT, Barclays, Societe Generale, Stanbic, Fidelity Bank and Zenith Bank. MTN is expected to pay an interest of about 17% over the next 5 years. That is the current T-bill rate plus 5%. Speaking to Joy Business after signing the agreement, Chief Finance Officer at MTN, Madupe Kadri, said these funds would be advanced towards improving network quality and carrying out some expansion works.
So the idea is to hit the ground running. As you know, we got a 4G license which has to be rolled out, and we've done a good rollout over since 2015. So we're going to increase that and deploy additional capacity effective from Q1 2018. So by having these arrangements in place before the end of the year, it enables us to raise the POs for those commitments and to ensure that the capitalization is done in Q1, Q2. and then the customers will start seeing increased capacity, increased speeds, and a better network over the period.
Your CEO also spoke about some rural expansion strategy as well. Will this also play into it as well?
Absolutely, they're all integrated. We have a rural expansion strategy. Basically, what we've done is that we've done a business plan for 2018.
All right, we are moving on now to our interview of the day. And SC Ghana, that is Social Enterprise Ghana, a network of high-impact social entrepreneurs in the country, has started a campaign dubbed Buy Social this Christmas season. The campaign is aimed at encouraging individuals and corporate institutions to buy from social enterprises as a means of supporting them. Now, social enterprises are businesses set up to address social and environmental problems, and quite a number of such businesses have sprung up in the last couple of years. Let's hear now from Chief Executive of SC Ghana, shedding more light on the campaign and the progress made in drafting the social enterprise policy for the country.
A really great process for us. We are partnering with the Ministry of Trade and Industry. We've the ministry now has a draft policy that we contributed to. We had sensitization all over the country. We did a research to sort of support the policy. So it's in draft form. We're hoping that it will go to cabinet soon. And that policy basically says that government recognizes the sector and is willing to invest in it throughout its program. So there may be special programs for social enterprises, but also social enterprise will be factored into the existing programs of government. And so we're excited.
Can you give us more specifics? What do you want government to do and why is it important?
So for example, if you think about building an ecosystem, one of the key things for social enterprises and all SMEs is funding. And so we want government to work with us to create creative funding pools that allow startups and early growth companies to get funding to scale. And we also want government to partner with us to look at enterprise as part of our educational system so that we can build a pipeline of future social entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs in general.
Okay. So when do we hope to see this policy come into effect? Are there any timelines?
So we hope it will be very soon. We're advocating. We have strong support from the Ministry of Trade. We've been partnering in other ways with the Ministry of Trade, even to implement some of the things in the policy in our own small way. So I hope that through this medium, more people will talk about this as a priority, and that we'll be able to get the policy to be passed.
Okay. You've got a number of a couple of events slated for this Christmas. Can you run us through?
So we have a number of exciting events. We have a Buy Social campaign. We're asking companies, individuals who are doing their Christmas shopping to buy from social enterprises so that you're not just giving a great gift, but also supporting a social cause you care about. People can go to www.scghana.net or email info@scghana.net. And we're also exhibiting at a Christmas fair on Oxford Street next week on the 15th and 16th. So you can pass by Oxford Street, beautiful stuff from social enterprises. And finally, we have a party on the 15th at Impact Hub Accra. It's called Makers Connect. It's for anybody in the social enterprise sector or anybody who wants to learn more or cares about it. We'll be launching a national campaign at that party that we're partnering with the British Council for to really drive attention towards social enterprise over this period.